Millions of innocent people have been scammed by one major corporation. Gullible people easily fooled, easily brainwashed. They all believe it. They all buy it. But why? For the money, of course. For the greed.
I have made a discovery.
Oh crap, what the? Well, I don't know what the heck happened there, but I barely touched this thing. I reckon it must have some severe anti-tampering mechanisms.
They're losing their narrative. They are in trouble and they are losing their grip.
It's not a coincidence, people. Wake up.
A couple of years ago, I was working in an outdoor store as a salesman of technical stuff for people that wanted to travel the globe. And I was selling GoPro navigation systems, maps, compasses, all of that kind of stuff. And occasionally a GoPro or a binocular or like a bird spotter. And one day, true story, one day a guy came up to me and immediately he said, "Have you ever heard about the Nikon P900? And I had heard about it, for sure. So the first thing that I said to him is like, "Do you perhaps believe that the Earth is flat?" And he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Yes, but how do you know?
Now the Nikon P900 came out in 2015 and Google Trends shows that Flat Earth got a resurgence of popularity in 2015. That's not a coincidence.
Like, have you ever wondered why all the flat earthers have either a P900 or a P1000? According to a study done in 2018, about 2% of all the citizens of the USA, they believe that the Earth is flat. That's more than 9.5 million people, and if you multiply that by the 7 continents, you end up with 66.6 million people that believe that the Earth is flat, and they all have a Nikon P900 or a Nikon P1000. They sell for big bucks, like $900 for the P900, that's where the name comes from, and $1,000 for the P1000, of course. So 66.6 million times 1,000, that's about, let me think, $66.6 billion per year. That's a lot of motive. So if you ask yourself, why are they doing this? Why go through all these lengths? Think about it, $66.6 billion. To me, that's a lot of motive.
See that there? That little mark? They say that tells you where the sensor is in the camera. So it means the sensor is along that line there. But nobody can tell me that that does not look exactly like the planet Saturn. Little circle, line going through it, that's the rings. It's a picture of Saturn. Of all the pictures and all the symbols, they chose Saturn. Why? For the wealth. The ancient Greeks used to worship the god Saturn. Now, they were the god of a lot of things, but amongst which they were the god of generation and the god of wealth.
I just found out, and I'm totally certain of this, that Nikon invented Flat Earth so that they could sell more cameras.
Now, you know all flat earthers use Nikon P900s. Why do you think that is?
Come here, I need to show you something. The number one reason why a lot of people are waking up to the truth of Flat Earth is the Nikon Coolpix P1000.
Now, you're gonna blur my face for this so nobody will see? Okay, good. And then cut out this part. If you look at the logo that Nikon initially had just after the Bedford Level experiment, and if you look at the Bedford Level icon, the thing for the telescope, they're exactly the same. That's how we know. It's definitely just a conspiracy to sell more cameras.
So yeah, this is actually crazy. So you have the Samuel Rowbotham, experiment, a Bedford level experiment, where Samuel Rowbotham was looking through a Nikon telescope that was shipped over from Japan. He was looking through it, and with some mirrors and some smoke inside, the Earth looked flat.
Samuel Rowbotham was born in 1816. 1 year later, Nikon was founded. Now, you might think that this is all just a coincidence, but it can't be. You see, the first thing that's wrong here is, what reason would Nikon have to exist in 1817? The camera wasn't invented yet. It would be like if Nintendo was founded before microchips were invented. That would not make any sense whatsoever.
But then there was Alfred Russel Wallace. He went to the exact same spot and he built his own telescope. And he set it up, and he was looking through that telescope, and of course his setup showed or demonstrated that the Earth is actually curved. Eventually, his son, William, he traveled to Japan and he started his own company, Sony. Weirdly enough, Sony is the only company that, for the raw data file, the raw data that comes from the light sensitive sensor, the unaltered, the pure data of reality, instead of having it as a raw file, they are the only company that write it as ARW. This, of course, is a tribute to his father, Alfred Russel Wallace, who was fighting against Nikon.
If you take the year that Samuel Rowbotham was born, 1816, and you add 18 and 16 together, you get 34. Now, Nikon was founded 1 year later, and 34 minus 1 is 33. But the final nail in the coffin is the fact that there is a photo of Samuel Rowbotham with the founder of Nikon. That photo was taken about 10 years after Nikon was founded, and it is reported that in that meeting, Samuel Rowbotham offered to invest large sums of money into Nikon. If you want to learn more about that photo, you can follow the link on screen. It's a pretty interesting story.
You done recording? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, I've had my problems with the P1000 as well. The weight of the P1000 is actually a hat tip to high-end tripod manufacturers. Because in order to use this camera, you have to get a tripod that's capable of handling an anti-tank weapon. And then when you go full bazooka on this thing, you get a balance problem, so you have to buy even more hardware for that industrial tripod just to keep this thing balanced. Now, if you have to go out and shoot on location, one of the problems that you have is the P1000, it's about a good cubit long. And once you get your harbor crane of a tripod packed up together with this, you don't have any room in your carry-on anymore for shooting on location. You can't even bring extra batteries. So you end up with the problem that you had in 2017 when they went back to the Bedford level and they thought that they were actually filming the entire Bedford level test redo, but their batteries ran out, and most likely that has to do with the fact that they couldn't pack it in their carry-on. There wasn't any room left.
I work as an officer in the Swedish Navy, so I know what I'm talking about. P1000, P950 and P900. None of those cameras are allowed to be used in the armed forces of Sweden. The reason is very simple. Their capability to spy on you.
There is a chip labelled GPS, Global Photo Scrutiny. That circuit receives data from somewhere. I'm not sure where. I only know that it needs to be outside with a clear view of the sky, and then it just works. It knows. The data has to be coming from a satellite or a satelloon maybe. And I think to validate that, there's this little image on the outside of the camera. Could that be a bit of a tell?
They are transferring your positions and other sensible information. They have microphones, they have GPS chips, so you can be geolocated, they can listen on you, they can see what you are seeing through your camera.
Now, if you doubt me, have a look at any image taken by a P900. And in that file, you'll see there's a data section called EXIF data, which is the bastardization of as if. And there, you will find the added data under the Globe Earth Overwrite True Azimuthal Geometry section, GEOTAG. The P900 does indeed modify images it takes using data downloaded from, well...
I won't mention who they are.
NASA, of course.
Every camera has a sensor, but it doesn't just see the picture on the sensor and that's it. It goes into a little computer that then saves it as a digital file. So every picture that you take has been generated by a computer. It is a computer generated image.
Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Who are they talking to? Huh? Who's listening?
We are not listening to anyone, Sly. That is a terrible accusation. Would you like to listen to some relaxing music to soothe your anxiety?
Now, one word of warning, if you do attempt to do this sort of probing into your internals of the P900, there is a industrial secrets loss prevention built in, and the camera will attempt to self-destruct. And, you know, look what mine did after I took a photo of the GPS trip on board. It sort of went into self-destruct mode. It just freaking, what the hell did it do?
It gets stranger though. If I take the letters of Nikon P900, Nikon P900. Now we swap all of the letters for the number that they place in the alphabet. So N is the 14th letter of the alphabet, I is the 9th, K is the 11th.
So researchers have discovered that within the P900 and the P1000 a lot of like AI manipulation is going on.
The P900 actually modifies the image after it was taken before the image is written to the SD card.
The camera knows exactly where you are and in what direction that you're looking at, and there is this entire globe map implemented with all of the buildings, all the structures. Probably comes from Google, right?
And here's another thing. They only want you to look at this. They don't want you to look into the actual viewfinder. They want you to look at this. They want you to see what they are presenting to you. Okay? Because watch what happens when I get close. This is going to simulate my eye getting closer to the viewfinder. Watch what happens. It turns off. Look at that. It turns off. They don't want you to see anything except for what comes out on this big display here.
O's the 15th, N is the 14th again, P is the 16th. Now, if I take 14 plus 11 gives us 25. 25 minus 50.
And when it knows that it is looking at a building or an island that is obscured by the horizon, it is trying to render what is supposed to be seen if the Earth were flat.
15 gives us 10.
But at the end of 2016, there was this major bug, this major malfunction, and we as researchers, we thought this is the end of Nike and the scam will become apparent. Everybody is going to realize that they have been duped. This is known as the Black Swan anomaly, or as we like to call it, the screw up. So a guy in California was looking over the ocean, and the camera knew where it was and knew that some platforms, Habitat and Hill House, should have been partially hidden by the horizon, but it was trying to render these structures. All these manipulation artifacts were clearly visible, so we thought, like, this is Nike, you've screwed up. We know now, everybody knows now, but what we didn't anticipate for was how gullible that these flat earthers are. It went viral.
This observation proves the Earth is flat. It's a beautiful event, one that I hope to see myself someday. The sun sets directly behind the distant Eiffel Tower located in France. Under the globe model, 155,500 feet should have been hidden behind the giant globe curvature.
The Flat Earth community for years has been hanging their hat on images of stars and planets that have been taken with Nikon P900, P1000. These images show that stars and planets are not these crisp points or crisp images that we see that NASA has been putting out, but in fact are distorted objects that are very colorful and look to be in some kind of watery environment. The claim then is that the firmament is holding back the waters in heaven. And it got me thinking. In astronomy, we use this technique called adaptive optics. Now, adaptive optics is a way to actually improve the image quality that we take. What I mean by that is that no matter how large your telescope is, the atmosphere is always going to blur it out in one way or another. And so when we look at the night sky with adaptive optics, we can take a little bit of the image that we take, we can use that and analyze what the light is doing as it passes through the atmosphere. And then we can distort the mirror or lens to compensate, to essentially zero that out so that we get the most crisp, in focus, detailed picture that we could possibly get. And what I discovered was that Nikon was actually doing the reverse. When you set the Nikon for best night viewing, what the camera does is it recognizes you're trying to take an image of a star or planet, and it then does adaptive optics in the reverse. When you take an image, it analyzes the atmosphere and then exacerbates. It makes that blurring worse. And it constantly distorts the lens randomly so that you really get this beautiful distorted patterns of blues and yellows and this really beautiful mosaic of this watery environment.
The other problem I have is the video record button right here. Because did you know that this thing is limited to 30-minute videos? Now, how are we supposed to do a 15 degree per hour video when we only have 30 minutes of video time?
14 gives us 174. 174 multiplied by 9 gives us 1,566, and 1,566 take away 900 leaves us. It's not a coincidence, people. Wake up.
Where do I start? I'm Jerry Williams, though most folks know me as Greater Sapien on YouTube. For 12 years, I've been unraveling the mysteries of science, trying to shine a light on the dark corners of misinformation. Then, about a year ago, everything just stopped. It started when I rented a Nikon P1000 to do some horizon observations. After taking about 10 minutes of footage, I noticed the camera was processing for a very long time, like long time. So I decided to flex my 1990s hacker skills, Black Hack 97 for life, and found a feature hidden in the subsystem of the camera. AI image generating software designed to manipulate the perception of reality itself, making the Earth appear flat in photos. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what I found. So, as soon as I dug deeper, my world turned upside down. My computer files started to self-destruct. I'd open a folder and poof, a tutorial on perspective, gone. Refraction demos, gone. My folder on Verizon bills, gone. Turns out I'd misspelled Verizon as Horizon, so that was on me, but this tells you the extent that this is going. Every attempt to make a video exposing this conspiracy resulted in technical malfunctions I'd never seen before. Cameras shutting down, lights flickering, you name it. There were nights I was genuinely afraid for my life. Imagine feeling the weight of an entire flat Earth community against you, all because you discovered a conspiracy by one of the world's leading camera manufacturers to promote the biggest scientific hoax of the century. It sounds ludicrous, but there I was, living it. I had to lay low, stop making videos. But it wasn't just about self-preservation. There was a part of me that felt betrayed. I'd spent years advocating for critical thinking and scientific literacy, only to be silenced by the very tools I used to document the world around us. But now, with this documentary, it's time to step back into the light. The truth is too important to stay hidden. Nikon's attempt to reshape our perception of the world, quite literally, needs to be exposed. And for me, it's time to set the record straight, not just about the shape of the Earth, but about the lengths that some will go to obscure the truth. This is just the beginning. The real work starts now.
I hope that you enjoy this as much as I did. Obviously it's fake. Obviously it's just a mockumentary. It's just for fun. Although I was surprised how easily people could find evidence for something that I just invented, right? Nikon is not behind anything here. And maybe the bigger story to tell here is that it is indeed easy. When you focus on a story, when you focus on an outcome, you will always find evidence. When, you know, you're a little biased, when you just cherry pick your way through whatever you can find. And if you connect all the dots that you need to connect to, you know, force the result, I guess. So be careful out there. There's a lot of nonsense. A couple of weeks ago, I was like anticipating for my 1000 subscriber special. So big thank you for everybody who prefers my videos over some other useful thing to watch. And then the 1st of April came. So I thought, why not, you know, start a little thing? And it quickly grew out of my own control, which I'm very happy about that it happened. So I have to thank all the people that sent me stuff that I could, you know, smash together into what you just watched. Thank you, everybody. I don't make this kind of silly stuff normally. It's a bit more serious, but it definitely is about debunking and the nonsense that Flat Earth is. And if you want to see more of my content, well, why not subscribe? And if you are looking for who was playing here, all the links of the channels are in the description, obviously. So thank you. This video was sponsored by Cat.